So thank you guys for tuning in. In this video, what you're going to see was the first day of Wayne and I, our meetup game in September. And so the first night did not go very well for me. If you guys watched the last video, part one, you see that I had a couple of big losses. In this video, you're going to see a $3,000, I believe it's a four-way all-in pot. Overall, the Venetian is a great place to play poker. We're doing a meetup game again in October. We're going to be there, I believe, the 17th, 18th, and 19th. Our meetup game is that Friday. I believe that's the 18th. And then we're also going to be doing a meetup game in December. I believe it's the 4th, 5th, and 6th. But I know we're going to be there for 2 weeks in December in Vegas, primarily at the Venetian and occasionally at the Wynn for the WPT. But let me tell you, the PLO at the Venetian's great. They're getting daily double board bomb pot games of $10 variety there. They're getting the mix that comes every Friday. We are changing the mix to start at 5 p.m. during our meetup game. We're probably still going to start it at 2 because we expected the game to go a little bit longer. But, you know, for the next couple of weeks while we're not there and in between in November, we're going to start it at 5 o'clock. So if you guys do want to be included in the PLO mix at the Vegas, go ahead and shoot me a text on WhatsApp right up here. I'll add you in the group chat. So that way you can be part of all the decisions that we make concerning the mixed PLO at the Venetian. So, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been a while since I posted a video. I know I posted one last week, but it's probably like a month of a hiatus. As you guys know, I've been working with a singer named Cam Amon. I'm his executive producer. What that means is I basically pay all the bills. So just like real estate, when you have an opportunity to invest in things, you invest in them. And honestly, if you haven't heard him sing yet, I know this is a poker channel, but if you haven't heard him sing, just pull it up on YouTube, pull it up on Facebook. There's probably 5 to 10 singers in the world that can match some of the things that he can do. And it's pretty amazing. We've cut 6 singles, and he's so talented with his voice. He can do soul, he can do blues, he can do country, he can do rap. Quite the talent. So definitely that's what's been taking me away a little bit from posting videos. I hope you guys can understand that. I've never produced an album that not only requires a lot of money, but a lot of time, because I've also video edited every single one of his videos. So had him up here for like 10 days, had Wayne up here for a week. You know, just enjoying the last bits of summer. Anytime it's summertime in the UP, my video production content is going to go down just because I like being outdoors. Because if you live in the Upper Peninsula in the summer, you need to spend it primarily outdoors. And if you've been here, you understand. If you haven't been here, why haven't you been here already? I understand. Winter's coming. That's totally reasonable. Heck, tonight I think it's October 2nd. Yesterday it was 76 degrees, and today we have a frost warning. So it could get down to 32 tonight. So that's good to know. But in any case, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to hit a like and the subscribe on the channel. And let me know what you guys think of this video and some of the details I go into with Big O and the strategies behind it. And I know there might be some hands where you guys are like, oh my God, Professor, you're crazy. I'd never call that. I understand. You have to understand, when you're playing poker for a living, if you have even a 1% edge in equity, in the long run, you should call, because poker is just one big long session. Obviously, you can pick better spots. And I think you guys will see, like on day 2, there's a few hands, which is going to be part 3, that are substantial as well. But in this one, there's a $3,000 hand in there. Stay tuned for it, because you won't believe what ends up winning. And you probably won't believe what I call with pre-flop. Or maybe you will, because you've seen my videos. So in any case, play smart, run like a god, and hopefully I'll see you at the Venetian at one of our meetup games. Again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we're going to dive right into it. We have a Big O hand. We have ace, deuce, deuce, 7-9 with the ace, deuce of spades. I end up 3-betting. Gentleman in front of me makes it 35. I make it 100. We get 1 caller. We get 2 callers. We get 3 callers. 1 player is all in. So we're going to go 4 ways to a flop. Let me tell you, these mixed games, at the Venetian, our juicy action. So we've got $400 in the pot. We have a pocket pair. We have a suited ace, deuce of spades, and the board comes king nine deuce with two hearts. So in this situation, you can either do a high risk, high reward variance play, which would be like leading out for pot, or you can play it safe and check it. Now, because I have a gentleman who's all in, this should not hit his range very well. There are two high cards. I do have a set. So when I'm facing two other opponents, I like to bet a full pot size bet, $400. I'm like, unless somebody's got a set of kings, I do have a 9 in my hand, so it blocks a set of 9s. And I know what some of you guys might be thinking. Oh, somebody could have a flush draw. Somebody could have even like a jack high flush draw. But think about it. If it's $400 to go, and I was the 3-better. Since I was the 3-better, I'd be putting my opponent in a pickle if they do have like a 10 high or a jack high flush draw. So when I go ahead and elect to bet $400, first opponent folds, second opponent goes in the tank. He's only got about 300 left. He elects to make the call, and then we're going to go to a run out. I tell the dealer, pair the board. Turn comes an 8 of diamonds, river, jack of spades. That's a pretty decent clean run out. I announce I have a set, and the gentleman who called me had an inside wrap, 10 jack queen, and we're going to lose this one. The guy who was all in actually had a flush draw, but sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles. So in this PLO4 hand here, you're going to see I look down at deuce, 9, 8, 10 with the 8, 10 of hearts. Monster hand. Not really. But you can see that I am on the button. And if you don't know what that is, the button principle means you should pretty much play just about every single hand you can in PLO because you can apply appropriate amount of pressure. Now when the flop comes deuce, king, 9, complete rainbow, I have bottom 2 pair, backdoor hearts, and pretty much that's it. So anytime somebody leads out and bets here, they're usually going to be drawing. They might have like ace, king, queen. They could have 10, jack, queen. It's unlikely that they're going to have a set of deuces or a set of 9s. So when the guy bets 35, there are two different ways you can have this hand play out. You can either A, play passively, which means I would just call $35 and then allow all my other opponents to call $35. I believe we're 4 ways action here, maybe 5 ways, I'm not too sure. Or I can start applying a pressure immediately. Now, let me tell you, people, if you do flop bottom 2 pair, this is a high risk, high reward play. Now, I'm doing this particularly because I'm on the button, because when you do have the button and the button principle applies, you should be able to apply max pressure. So in this situation, I'm actually going to raise it up a little bit because I want to find out if my opponent has a set of kings here. Because if he does have a set of kings, or if he's got king 9, he might kick it back. And even if he does have king 9, depending on what the turn is, I could apply a little bit more pressure on this guy. I mean, he did just see me jam with a set of deuces, so he knows I have a very wide open range of hands that I can do. So again, because we're on the button, we're going to apply pressure here. We don't have to do a full pot size bet because I don't want to overcommit him based on his chip stack. He has about 400 or 500 in front of him. So I decided to make it 125. I'm doing this so that way I can do pretty much a full pot size bet and apply maximum pressure, because if he calls 125 here, he's going to have about $300 behind, which will put him all in. So there's a lot of turn cards that I can apply pressure on him. Now, lo and behold, we are 5 ways, and we do get a couple of people who fold. So the original bettor is going in the tank for a little bit, and this is one of those situations, if you will. If you're an experienced PLO player and you've got king 9, even king deuce in some situations, you can just re-raise because he only has a 1-to-1 SPR. It's very important you pay attention to people's stack sizes. Instead, he calls, and then look what he does. He checks dark. Now, when he checks dark, that really screams that he's got something like king, queen, jack, or king 10 jack. So when the turn comes to 6 of hearts, I waste no time. I bet $300 into a $625 pot, and he's going in the tank, and he actually says to me, he goes, "Do you have a $300 hand?" And I say to him, "Well, I believe I have a $300 hand." Now, at this point, I realize my opponent probably has king deuce, or he does have king queen jack or king 10 jack. So it's one of those things where I do have to fade some outs. I do have a heart draw just in case. He obviously didn't have ace king with the ace of hearts because I think he's just calling here, or like ace king queen jack with the ace high hearts because he's obviously ripping it in here. But when the 6 of hearts comes out there and gives me a gut shot with my 2 pair with a heart draw, I just have too much equity heads up. Now, if this was a multi-way pot, I might treat it a little bit differently. But when it's heads up here, paying attention to people's stack to pot size ratio is so important. It's going to put them all in. And he says he has a really good hand. And I tell him, well, whether you call or fold, it might make the vlog. I said, but don't call. just to make the vlog. I said, because it might make the vlog if you fold as well, which exactly what happens. He folds, we scoop. You know, I once had a guy tell me that he doesn't want to play with me at the table because I'm not going to make any mistakes. Well, here's a foreshadowing thing for you guys watching. We're in Big O. I have ace, queen, 7-5 deuce, and I'm about to make a pretty substantial mistake. I shouldn't say it's that much of a substantial mistake, but looking back at it, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We have an original raiser. Pre-flop is myself for $15. We go 5 ways to the flop. So there's $75 in the pot, and the flop's 5-5-9. So I do have ace-5 in my hand. I have a backdoor low draw, and that's pretty much it. I have a full house draws, but in a situation like this, you know, there's some things that you can do here and some things that you can do to prevent making these mistakes. First player decides to open for $35. Now, this is the player I just leaned on before. I go ahead and I raise it up to 100 even. It clears out the rest of the field. It's only $65 more to him. I'm thinking if the turn is a blank, like a 10, a jack, or a king, I'm probably going to check it. If it's any other card, I'm probably just going to rip it because, again, his SPR is less than 1-to-1. So he calls $100. There's $300 in the pot so far. Turn comes an 8 of hearts, which does give me the nut low, plus it gives me an ace-7 low draw or a deuce-7 low draw in case an ace or a deuce comes on the river. So he decides to check it, and at this point I'm going in the tank because I'm thinking, do I apply max pressure here? If he calls, he obviously has a 5. He could have 5-9. He could have 5-8. I figured, what the hell, I'm just going to keep applying pressure, so I decided to bet 300. And you can see what happens. He goes ahead and calls. I say, hey, I've got a 5 with a low draw. And he says, hey, I have pocket 9s. So I'm pretty much just drawing to half the pot at this point, unless a 5 comes. River comes a 9 of clubs. So he ends up with quads, and we end up losing. I guess this is one you could say I played pretty poorly. I mean, it's a $910 pot. I end up losing like $380 on it or so. Let me know what you guys think on this one. Buckle up, Buttercup. We're going for a ride. Now, this is a Big O hand, but what kept happening to me both days that I was there at the Venetian is I kept waking up with literally some of the worst hands you could wake up with, closing out the action. And what I mean by closing out the action is it might be like 200 to call to win like 1,000, or 200 to win 1,500, or whatever the case may be. So this is one of those hands. This is how you get involved in a $3,000 hand in Big O with deuce 4, 6-9 king, with 3 clubs, king high clubs, and deuce 4 of diamonds. Now, I'm not proud of this, but I will tell you, it kept happening time and time again, where between day 1 and day 2, when I was closing out the action, I was last to act, and it might be $200 or $300 for me to call, but there was like already 1,000 or 1,500 in the pot, and I'm like, good Lord, I hate this hand, but with the right equity, I just have to call. So the gentleman who straddles decides to pot it for $70. The guy calls right next to him. I go ahead and call. The next guy calls. Next guy's going in the tank a little bit. Well, he's not going anywhere. It's just an extra $60. So he goes ahead and calls. Right now the pot's already up to $320. Now we have somebody who limped, and they decide to make it $360. I'm like, really? 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 Like, okay. So the first guy says, what the hell, I'm all in. He's all in for like 200 and change. He was the straddler. It's like an extra 130 to him. Now I'm sitting there. I'm already factoring in what the pot is going to be. The next gentleman decides to say he's all in, but he can't do that. He just said call, and the dealer thought he was all in, so she put the button out there. He's got like an extra $80 behind. But in any case, you can already see there's $14.20 in the pot, and it's $300 to me. What do you do in this situation? I mean, literally, $300? Okay, I'm going to call. Or there's $11.20 in the pot, and so I'm calling to close out the action for an extra $300. So I'm getting 4-to-1 on my money. 2 players are all in, so if I flop anything, there's dead money left. One guy has like $80 left. The other guy who limped re-raise, he probably has pocket aces. And for me, calling 300 to 1,100 of dead money, and he has me covered on any side action. So I have $760 in my stack. Now, folks, let me tell you, this is one of the dangerous things that can happen when you have aces and you limp and you re-raise. Because with aces, you do not like going 4 or 5 ways for this amount of money, especially when a player has a 0.5 to 1 SBR like myself. I've got $760 left. There's literally 1420 in there, so it's just a little over a half of a pot size bet because I know what two of your cards are. If I flop anything, I'm going to run with it. If I flop clubs, I'm going to run with it. Even if I flop a pair with a diamond draw, I'm probably going to run with it. I do expect most of the aces are out, so I don't like any lows. I'm just kind of thinking I should flop like 2 pair or something. Oh my God, the flop is 4, 9, 10. 4 of spades, 9 of clubs, 10 of diamonds. First player goes all in for his remaining amount. I go ahead and look, and I actually go in the tank for a little bit because I'm like, this is the flop I wanted. I have bottom 2 pair. This is a high risk, high reward play. I start counting out my chips. Now, this is a situation where if I have pocket aces, I'm probably never calling. Maybe I am. I don't know. But, you know, I rip out the chips. I'm counting them, and I'm thinking he's got to have aces. The only thing I really lose to here is like 10-9 or pocket 10s. And so I go ahead and just rip it all in. My opponent snap calls me, and he turns over aces. And I'm like, alrighty, let's see what happens. For the vlog, everybody, here we go. Let's see what this run out is. I just need a clean run out. So she's going to figure it out. I'm telling her, yeah, go ahead and make the main pot good. These dealers at the Venetian, they got some things down here. They're really good at it. They don't mess up very often. Every once in a while they do, but she's really good. So she counts out the gentleman's amount that he has, matches ours, and then she's like, we'll just figure out the rest later. And I'm like, sweet, honey, just pair the board. Put a 9 up there or a 4 there. One time. Can I get the one time? Let's see what happens. I know I got to fade a lot, and it turns a 10 of hearts. What the hell? River's a 10 of clubs? Great. I have king high. Aces wins, and then quad 10s wins the main. This sucks. So just like a quarterback who throws an interception, I rebuy and just pretend like that last hand never happened. Now this hand right here is going to show you how to get maximum value out of another piece of shit big O hand like we have here. 5, 5, 6, 8, 8. Now one thing you need to know, see how much money is on the small blind jackpot? Yes, that's a black chip, 3 greens, and a bunch of red. There's $210 on the small blind jackpot. So I'm the only one who can win that, which means I have so much incentive. So when it's only $10 to call, I call. We go 6 ways to the flop. And the flop is 5, king, 10 with 2 spades. I don't have a spade in my hand, but I do have bottom set. Now, when you're playing with the small blind jackpot, there's 2 different ways you can play. You can either fire it out and expect people to call you because it looks like you're bluffing, especially when it's $60 into a $210 pot, or you can check raise. I decide to fire it out, and I get 1 fold. Everybody else calls, or I get 2 folds, pardon me. So there's $300 in the pot now, and I'm thinking, oh boy, I regret my decisions. I think I should have just check potted it, but this board is so wet. I think if I check, it might check around, especially since the table's a little passive. Now the turn comes up, the 9 of diamonds. Now, obviously, this brings in the jack, queen straight, and it does give me a gut shot, but my gut shot I don't really like. So I go ahead and check, and it checks around. Now, at this point, I know I'm ahead. I know no one has a straight. I don't think anybody's got a set of kings or a set of 10s. River's an ace of hearts. Believe it or not, this is one of my most perfect cards because I know no one has jack, queen. Somebody should have ace 10 or ace king. I go ahead and bet $200 into a $300 pot. Anytime you're trying to bet for value and get called by worse, you want to bet about a 2/3 pot size bet because it looks really bluffy. You can also do a full pot size bet. Sometimes you're going to get called, sometimes you're not. Because I know there's $210 incentive in the small blind jackpot, I should get called here by ace king. And lo and behold, gentleman calls me, and then the next guy goes in the tank. And when the guy folds, I say I have a set of 5s, and he says, I have ace king. So the hand I was specifically targeting, I got the maximum amount of value. So let me know what you guys think on this one. Was this a well-played hand? Play smart, everybody, and run like a god.